All right, thank everybody for coming today, and everybody on YouTube, thank you very much. And as always, if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. If you'd like to join us in real time with our Zoom, you'll be welcome to do that. And just email us at buddhapracticestudy@gmail.com for the link and any information you might want to get from us. So we begin by doing our three prostrations in front of our shrine. So please, everybody, take a moment, do three prostrations. Om, Ah, Hum. Body, speech, and mind. The Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Om, Ah, Hum. Body, speech, and mind. The Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Om, Ah, Hum. Body, speech, and mind. The Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Body, speech, and mind. Om, Ah, Hum, Om, Ah, Hum, Om, Ah, Hum. Om, Ah, Hum. All right. Anybody have any questions or comments about any of the practices or talks that we've been having? Okay, very good. All right, so then we begin with today we're going to finish up with the refuge prostration part of the Ngöndro. And next time we'll begin with the Vajrasattva part, the purification part. So we begin on page 1 on our booklet. And Gary, would you read the introduction on page 1, please?
The introduction on the play in full, right?
No, we're on the sutras. Oh, excuse me, that's the sutras. We're on the uncommon preliminary practices.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong day. Just a moment. Okay. Just a moment, please. Well, that's the altruistic motivation, right?
Yeah, but page 1, just page 1, the introduction part.
The introduction part, okay. For the benefit of all sentient beings, the most gracious Buddha Shakyamuni spoke the Dharma through the sutras and tantras. The 5 profound paths of Mahamudra and the 6 yogas of Naropa are the essence of the Buddhist teachings, which enable one to attain enlightenment even in one lifetime. However, to practice the path of Mahamudra and the 6 yogas of Naropa, one must be fully convinced of the 4 ways of turning the mind, or the 4 ordinary foundations. The 4 ways of turning the mind are the basis for the successful practice of any of the yanas. Then one practices the 4 extraordinary foundations, or the Vajrayana Ngöndro, to purify the negative karma and obscurations of the mind, speech, and body, and to develop virtues. The great 12th century Tibetan saint, Lord Jigten Sumgön, the second Nagarjuna, said the Ngöndro is even more important than the higher practices. One must fully understand and practice the simple yet profound foundational teachings before one begins the higher teachings.
Very good, thank you. Any comments or questions about the introduction? Okay. So now we begin with the altruistic motivation, and I'll lead. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. Dagla dang warje pedra no parje pege. Parpa dang tam shaken pe bardu jo parje pa tam shaki so je pe. Manam kadam yam pe sem chen tam she de wa dang den. Dog now dang drel nor du la na me pa yang dag pa zog pe zhang zhu brin po she to pa zha. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Deshe du sang ma ge gi bar du lu na gi sam ge wala ko. Ma she bar du lu na gi sam ge wala ko. Du de ring ne sung te ni ma sang ta sam gi bar du lu na gi sam ge wala ko. All sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in the glorious kind Lama Vajradhara, the embodiment of the body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities of the Buddhas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, source of the 84,000 categories of the teachings, and Lord of the Sanghas. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Back to page 4. Nam ke da dam yam pe sem chen tam she chok chu du som gi. De shen sek pa tam she ki ku song ton yon ten chen le tam she gi nor wor jer pa. Joki pom po ton cha ka chu cha che chon ne. Pa pe ge dun tam she gi na da. Tren san sa wa danger pa je pe pao den la ma dam pa nam la kap su chi yo. Yedam kil gorgi la soknam la kapsu chio. Sange chom dende nam la kapsu chio. Dampe cho nam la kapsu chio. Pape ge du nam la kapsu chio. Pawo ka jo cho kyung song me song yeshe gi chang dang dem pa nam la kapsu chio. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Shang Shu Ning Po Chi Ki Bar Sangye Nam La Kapsu Chi Chodang Shang Shu Senpa Yi So Klang De Shin Kapsu Chi Zitar Nong Yi De Shegi Shang Shub Tugni Ki Padang Shang Shub Sempe La Pala De Dagrim Shin E Patar De Shindro La Pandandu Shang Shub Semni Ki Gishing De Shindu Ni La Pala Rempa Shindu La Pajio. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sangye Chodang Soki Chonam Shang Shu Bardu Dagni Kapsu Chi Dagi Jin Soki Pe Sonam Yi Drola Penshir Sangye Ju Parsho. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Manam kadam yam pe sem chen tam she de wadang de we gerdang dempa jorchi. Dognal dang donel gi gudang dra war jorchi. Dognal me pe de wadang mi dra war jorchi. Nei ring jak dang ni dang dwell way dang nam la ne pa Georgie. Page 11, the seven limb prayer. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. 4 ways of turning the mind. Oh, this kind of leisure and endowment is supremely difficult to obtain. When we obtain this body, which is easily lost, do not waste it meaninglessly, but rather use it to attain the ultimate liberation, joyous result. Please contemplate the meaning of precious human life. Mind wanders, just bring it back to the text. Contemplate the 8 leisures, the 10 endowments, the 5 internal endowments, the 5 external endowments. If you don't recall them, you can go back to our daily prayer book, the prayer book and guide, and there the endowments are listed, the 8 leisures are listed. Okay. I just checked that book, the prayer book, and the 8 leisures and the 10 endowments are not listed, but if you'd like to go over them, you can write them in yourself. They are, we have other texts that we've studied those. So if you need to go back to those and put them into the prayer book might be very useful. We come to the second of the four thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma on page 13. The nature of all phenomena is impermanence. Death is a certainty to all who are born. Death can descend any time like a drop of morning dew on a blade of grass. Quick, it is time to make effort for the essence of the Dharma. Contemplate the meaning of impermanence. And contemplate the eight worldly concerns, or the eight worldly dharmas: gain and loss, pleasure and pain, fame and disgrace, praise and blame, impermanence. The third thought that turns the mind to the Dharma: the fruit of one's positive karma is happiness. Suffering is the fruit of negative karma. The inexorable karmic causation is the mode of abiding of all dharmas. Henceforth, practice the Dharma by distinguishing between what should be practiced and what should be given up. Contemplate the meaning of karma, cause, and result. fourth of the four thoughts. In the three lower realms, and even in the three higher ones, there is not an instant of absolute happiness. I will avoid the root cause of my samsaric existence and practice the excellent path of peace to enlightenment. Contemplate the meaning of the suffering of samsara. So now we visualize the protection circle, and we recite the Sanskrit alphabet mantra 3 times. Oma, a, I, u, vi, li, o, ang, kaka, gagana, zaza, zazana, tata, dadana, papa, babama, yawalawa, sa, ka, saha, kriya, soha. Oma, a, I, u, vi, li, o, ang, kaka, gagana, zaza, zazana, tata, dadana, papa, babama, yawalawa, sa, ka, kra, soha. Om, I, u, vi, li, o, ang, kaka, gagana, zaza, zazana, tata, dadana, papa, babama, yawalawa, sa, ka, saha, kriya, soha. Om Yadharma, Hetu Prabhava, Hetu Takan Tadagato, Hail Watatata, Takansa, Yonarada, Avamwadi, Mahashimani, Soha. Om Yadharma, Hetu Prabhava, Hetu Takan Tadagato, Hail Watatata, Takansa, Yonarada, Avamwadi, Mahashimani, Soha. Om Yadharma, Hetu Prabhava, Hetu Takan Tadagato, Hail Watatata, Takansa, Yonarada, Avamwadi, Mahashimani, Soha. All phenomena arise from causes. Those causes have been taught by the Tathagata. The cessation, too, has been proclaimed by the great ascetic, the Shramaniye. So be it. 100-syllable purification mantra of Vajrasattva. In English first. Om Vajrasattva Samaya. Help to protect my vow, to purify myself. May you remain firm with me. Grant me the complete satisfaction. Grow with me. Be loving towards me. Grant me the attainments to master the powers beyond body and nature. Show me all the deeds of body, speech, and mind. Make my mind heart good, virtuous, and auspicious. Revel in the bliss of the four joys, O Blessed One, who embodies the essence within me. Do not abandon me. Grant me the realization of the indestructible nature. Make me one with you. Thus I signify my unity with non-duality. Ah. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Dristadredo Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sarasiddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsa Me Sitsan Shriya Kuru Hung Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sara Tathagata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Sattvaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Dristadredo Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sarasiddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsa Me Sitsan Shriya Kuru Hum Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sara Tathagata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Sattvaha Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Dristadredo Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sarasiddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsa Me Sitsan Shriya Kuru Hung Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sara Tathagata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Sattvaha Om Sambar Sambar Bhimanasar Ma Zamba Hung 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 Om Sambar Sambar Bhimanasar Ma Zamba Hung, arising from a defiled mind, be reborn into great wisdom. Om Smar Smar Bhimanaskar Mahazamba Hung Pe, Om Smar Smar Bhimanaskar Ma Zamba Hong Pe. 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 Arising from defiled lives, remember and purify the flower of wisdom. Om Sambar Sambar Mahazambu Hung Pe. Om Sambar Sambar Mahazambu Hung Pe. Om Sambar Sambar Bimanasar Mahazambu Hung Pe. Om Sambar Sambar 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 Mahazambu Hung Pe. Arising, great holy wisdom, purify this life. Om Ruchi Ramana Prarataya Hong Pe. 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 The enlightened body, speech, and mind are the precious Dharma protectors, whose mirror-like wisdom is the door to purification. Om Re Pamanarti Shvari Hong. 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 The body, speech, and mind of pure love is the ultimate wisdom. Om Ah Hong, 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 Om Ah Hong. Om Ah Hong, 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 Om Ah Hong. Oma 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 Uma 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 Oma ahom. Gary, would you read the benefits for taking refuge, please? Page 24.
If the merit of taking refuge in the triple gem could manifest in form, the whole universe could not contain it. Even though attempting to describe the infinite benefits of practicing refuge is like attempting to empty the ocean with a teaspoon, there are 8 benefits as explained in the jewel ornament of liberation. One becomes a Buddhist. It becomes the basis of all the precepts and vows. It exhausts all previous non-virtuous deeds. It protects one from obstacles created by humans and non-human. one accomplishes all one wishes. One gathers a great amount of merit. One will not fall into the lower realms. One attains Buddhahood swiftly. Refuge practice is the essence of all other practices. Therefore, one always should emphasize this practice. It has inconceivable beneficial effects. Through this practice, one can achieve the fearless state.
Thank you. So now, with one pointed mind, take refuge in the three jewels. So take a moment now, sit in the meditation position, and focus the mind on the three jewels, the body, speech, and mind, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. All right. Meditate, the surroundings are as separable from a Buddha field. In the space in front of me is a lion throne, on which are a lotus, sun, and moon disk seat, in the center of which sits the kind root Lama in the form of Vajradhara with the 7 characteristics. Blue in color, 2 arms holding a Vajra and bell crossed at the heart, and gracefully sitting in the Vajra position, adorned with silken robes and various precious jewel ornaments, and surrounded by all the lineage lamas. In front of the lion throne is the Yadam Chakrasamvara, the male and female aspects in union, whose manifestation is simultaneously appearance and emptiness. At the right side of the throne is the assembly of the Buddhas of the 3 times, possessing all the auspicious signs of a Buddha, together with the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate kalpa. Behind the throne is the Prajnaparamita, proclaiming the relative and ultimate meaning of the 3 yanas. To the left of the throne is the assembly of the compassionate bodhisattvas, surrounded by the Sangha of the 3 yanas. Around the base of the throne are the Dharmapalas, an ocean of guardians gathered like clouds. The Buddhas, Dharma, Sanghas, Yidams, and Dharma protectors, to these supreme objects of refuge, for protection from the hordes of sufferings of samsara, we, all migrators, go for refuge until enlightenment is attained. Buddhas, Dharma, Sanghas, Yidams, and Dharma protectors, to these supreme objects of refuge, for protection from the hordes of sufferings of samsara, we, all migrators, go for refuge until enlightenment is attained. Sangye cho so yidam cho kyung che, kyab chok nam la dak sok cho wa kun, si pe jik sok nam na le kyob chi, Zhang Zhu Ma To Bardu Kyab Su Chi. I rejoice when all sentient beings are happy and free from the samsaric suffering and swiftly attain ultimate Buddhahood. For this purpose, from now on until I achieve enlightenment, I will follow the path to the ultimate goal. I rejoice when all sentient beings are happy and free from the samsaric suffering and swiftly attain ultimate Buddhahood. For this purpose, from now on until I achieve enlightenment, I will follow the path to the ultimate goal. Jokun de den dugnal drawadan, nor du la me to par da Yahweh. De chir den ne chang shu ma to bar. Ne pe don chok lam la juk pa sha. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Drin san sa wa danger par je pe pao dan la ma dam pa nam la kap su chi yo. Ye dam kil gorgi la sok nam la kap su chi yo. Sangye chom den de nam la kap su chi yo. Dam pe cho nam la kap su chi yo. Pa pe ge dun nam la kap su chi yo. Pa wo ka cho cho kyung song me song yeshe gi chang dang dem pa nam la kap su chi yo. Ye dam kyo gorgi la sok nam la kap su chi yo. Ye dam kyo gorgi la sok nam la kap su chi yo. Sangye chom den de nam la kap su chi yo. Dam pe cho nam la kap su chi yo. Pa pe ge dun nam la kap su chi yo. Pa wo ka jo cho kyung song me song yeshe gi cheng dang dem pa nam la kap su chi yo. Drin san sa wa danger par je pe pao dan la ma dam pa nam la kap su chi yo. Ye dam kil gorgi la sok nam la kap su chi yo. Sangye chom den de nam la kap su chi yo. Dam pe cho nam la kap su chi yo. Pa pe ge dun nam la kap su chi yo. Pa wo ka jo cho kyung song me song yeshe gi cheng dang dem pa nam la kap su chi yo. Now at the bottom of the page 31, it says, recite the refuge prayer as many times as possible. So as we do that, we are doing prostrations. We are accumulating the prostrations, so we count the prostrations. So now as we recite the prayer, we do the prostrations. Trin san sa wa danger par che pe pao dan la ma dam pa nam la kap su chi ho. Ye dam kyo gorgi la sok nam la kap su chi ho. Sangye chom den de nam la kap su chi ho. Dam pe cho nam la kap su chi ho. Pa wo ka jo cho kyung song me song yeshe gi cheng dang dam pa nam la kap su chi ho. Chun sen sa hua dan ger pa je pe pao dan la ma dam pa nam la kap su chi yo. Ye dam kyo gorgi la sok nam la kap su chi yo. Sangye chom den de nam la kap su chi yo. Dam pe cho nam la kap su chi yo. Pape do nam la cap su chio. Pa wo ga jo chu kyung sung bei song ya she gi cheng dang dam pa nam la cap su chio. Jun san sa wa dang ger pa je pe pao dan la ma dam pa nam la cap su chio. Ye dam kyo gorgi la so nam la cap su chio. Sangye chong den de nam la cap su chio. Tam pe cho nam la cap su chio. Pepe ge du nam la cap su chio. Pa wo ka jo chu kyung sung me song ya she gi cheng dang den pa nam la cap su chio. Chun san sa wa denger pa je pe pa dan la ma dam pa nam la cap su chio. Ye dam kyo gorgi la so nam la cap su chio. Sangye chong den de nam la cap su chio. Dam pe cho nam la cap su chio. Pa wo ka do chu kyung sung me sung ye she gi cheng dang dam pa nam la cap su chio. We go for refuge to the glorious Holy Lama together with the kind root and lineage Lamas. We go for refuge to the deities and the mandalas and the idams. We go for refuge to all the exalted Buddhas. We go for refuge to the perfect Dharma. We go for refuge to the excellent order of the Sanghas. We go for refuge to the Dakas and Dakinis, male and female Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We go for refuge. We go for refuge to the glorious Holy Lamas, lineage Lamas. We go for refuge to the deities, to the mandalas and the idams. We go for refuge to all the exalted Buddhas. We go for refuge to the perfect Dharma. We go for refuge to the excellent order of the Sanghas. We go for refuge to the Dakas and the Kinis, male and female Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We go for refuge to the kind root and lineage Lamas. We go for refuge to the deities, to the mandalas and the idams. We go for refuge to all the exalted Buddhas. We go for refuge to the perfect Dharma. We go for refuge to the excellent order of the Sanghas. We go for refuge to the Dakas and the Kings, male and female Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Chun san sa wa dang ger pa je pe pa dan la ma dam pa nam la cap su chio. Ye dam kyo gorgi la sok nam la cap su chio. Sangye chong den de nam la cap su chio. Dam pe to nam la cap su chio. Pepe ge du nam la cap su chio. Pa wo ka jo cho kyung me song ye she gi. Cheng dang dam pa nam la cap su chio. Jun san so wa dang ger pa. Che pe bao dan lama. Dam pa nam la cap su chio. Ye dam kyo gorgi la so nam la cap su chio. Sangye chong den de nam la cap su chio. Dam pe chong nam la cap su chio. Pepe ge du nam la cap su chio. Pa wo ka jo jo kyo me. Song ye she gi cheng dang dam pa nam la cap su chio. Jun san sa wa dang ger pa. Che pe pao dan lama. Dam pa nam la cap su chio. Ye dam kyo gorgi la sok nam la cap su chio. Dam pe cho nam la cap su chio. Pepe ge du nam la cap su chio. Pa wo ka jo che kyo me. Song ye she gi cheng den dam pa nam la cap su chio. Jun san sa wa dang ger pa. Che pe pao dan lama. Dam pa nam la cap su chio. Ye dam kyo gorgi la sok nam la cap su chio. Sangye chom den de nam la cap su chio. Dam pe cho nam la cap su chio. Pepe ge du nam la cap su chio. Pa wo ka cho chu kyo me shung ye she gi cheng den den pa nam la kap su chi. Jun sen sa wa den ger pa je pe pa den la ma dam pa nam la kap su chi. Ye dam kyo gor gi la sok nam la kap su chi. Sange chom den de nam la kap su chi. Den pe cho nam la kap su chi. Pa pe ge du nam la kap su chi. Pa wo ka cho chu kyo me shung ye she gi cheng den den pa nam la kap su chi. Jun sen sa wa den ger pa je pe pa den la ma dam pa nam la kap su chi. Ye dam kyo gor gi la sok nam la kap su chi. Sange chom den de nam la kap su chi. Den pe cho nam la kap su chi. Pa pe ge du nam la kap su chi. Pa wo ka jo chu kyo me shung ye she gi cheng den den pa nam la kap su chi. Jun sen za wa den ger pa je pe pa den la ma dam pa nam la kap su chi. Ye dam kyo gor gi la sok nam la kap su chi. Sange chom den de nam la kap su chi. Den pe cho nam la kap su chi. Pa pe ge du nam la kap su chi. Pa wo ka jo chu kyo me shung ye she gi cheng den den pa nam la kap su chi. Jun sen sa wa den ger pa je pe pa den la ma dam pa nam la kap su chi. Ye dam kyo gor gi la sok nam la kap su chi. Sange chom den de nam la kap su chi. Dan pe cho nam la kap su chi. Pa pe ge du nam la kap su chi. Pa wo ka jo chu kyo me shung ye she gi cheng den den pa nam la kap su chi. We go for refuge to the glorious Holy Lama, together with the kind root and lineage lamas. We go for refuge to the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We go for refuge to all the exalted Buddhas. We go for refuge to the perfect Dharma. We go for refuge to the excellent order of the Sanghas. We go for refuge to the Dakas and Dakinis, male and female, Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We go for refuge to the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We go for refuge to the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We go for refuge to all the exalted Buddhas. We go for refuge to the perfect Dharma. We go for refuge to the excellent order of the Sanghas. We go for refuge to the Dakas and Dakinis, male and female, Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We go for refuge to the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We go for refuge to the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We go for refuge to all the exalted Buddhas. We go for refuge to the perfect Dharma. We go for refuge to the excellent order of the Sanghas. We go for refuge to the Dakas and Dakinis, male and female, Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We go for refuge to the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We go for refuge to the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We go for refuge to all the exalted Buddhas. We go for refuge to the perfect Dharma. We go for refuge to the excellent order of the Sanghas. We go for refuge to the Dakas and Dakinis, male and female, Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We go for refuge to the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We go for refuge to the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We go for refuge to all the exalted Buddhas. We go for refuge to the perfect Dharma. We go for refuge to the excellent order of the Sanghas. We go for refuge to the Dakas and Dakinis, male and female, Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Jun sen sa wa dan ger pa je pe pao dan lama dam pa nam la kap su chi o. Ye dam kyo gor gi la sok nam la kap su chi o. Sange chom den de nam la kap su chi o. Dam pe cho nam la kap su chi o. Pa pe ge du nam la kap su chi o. Pa wo ka jo chu kyung song me song yes she gi cheng dan dem pa nam la kap su chi o. Jun san sa wa dan ger pa je pe pa dan la ma dam pa nam la kap su chi o. Ye dam kyo gor gi la sok nam la kap su chi o. Pa wo ka cho chu kyung song me song yes she gi cheng dan dem pa nam la kap su chi o. Jun San Za Wa Denger Pa Je Pe Pao Dan Lama Dam Pa Nam La Kab Su Chi O Yidam Kyo Gorgi La Sok Nam La Kab Su Chi O Sangye Chom Den De Nam La Kab Su Chi O Dam Pe Jo Nam La Kab Su Chi O Pa Wo Ka Cho Cho Kyung Song Mei Song Yes She Gi Cheng Dang Dam Pa Nam La Kab Su Chi O Jun San Za Wa Denger Pa Je Pe Pao Dan Lama Dam Pa Nam La Kab Su Chi O Yidam Kyo Gorgi La Sok Nam La Kab Su Chi O Pa Wo Ka Cho Cho Kyung Song Mei Song Yes She Gi Cheng Dang Dam Pa Nam La Kab Su Chi O. Okay, if you like, you may take your seats, collect your breath, sit in the meditation posture. Chun San Sa Wa Denger Pa Je Pe Pao Dan Lama Dam Pa Nam La Kab Su Chi O Yidam Kyo Gorgi La Sok Nam La Kab Su Chi O Sangye Chom Den De Nam La Kab Su Chi O Dam Pe Jo Nam La Kab Su Chi O Pa Pe Ge Du Nam La Kab Su Chi O Pa Wo Ka Cho Cho Kyo Mei Song Yes She Gi Cheng Den Dam Pa Nam La Kab Su Chi O Chun San Sa Wa Denger Pa Je Pe Pao Dan Lama Dam Pa Nam La Kab Su Chi O Yidam Kyo Gorgi La Sok Nam La Kab Su Chi O Sangye Chom Den De Nam La Kab Su Chi O Dam Pe Jo Nam La Kab Su Chi O Pa Pe Ge Du Nam La Kab Su Chi O Pa Wo Ka Cho Cho Kyo Mei Song Yes She Gi Cheng Den Dam Pa Nam La Kab Su Chi O Jun San Sa Wa Denger Pa Je Pe Pao Dan Lama Dam Pa Nam La Kab Su Chi O Yidam Kyo Gorgi La Sok Nam La Kab Su Chi O Sangye Chom Den De Nam La Kab Su Chi O Dam Pe Jo Nam La Kab Su Chi O Pa Pe Ge Du Nam La Kab Su Chi O Pa Wo Ka Cho Cho Kyo Mei Song Yes She Gi Cheng Den Dam Pa Nam La Kab Su Chi O Jun San Sa Wa Denger Pa Je Pe Pao Dan Lama Dam Pa Nam La Kab Su Chi O Yidam Kyo Gorgi La Sok Nam La Kab Su Chi O Sangye Chom Den De Nam La Kab Su Chi O Dam Pe Jo Nam La Kab Su Chi O Pa Pe Ge Du Nam La Kab Su Chi O Pa Wo Ka Cho Cho Kyo Mei Song Yes She Gi Cheng Den Dam Pa Nam La Kab Su Chi O. Now once again, the bottom of page 31, it says, recite the refuge prayer as many times as possible while we are doing and accumulating the prostrations. And it says, meditate that the refuge visualization dissolves into oneself and oneself dissolves into emptiness. Rest in the natural state. So we visualize that the lineage tree, all the beings on the lineage tree, all dissolve into light, all dissolve into Vajradhara. Vajradhara dissolves into light, dissolves into us through the crown of our head. And from the Hung syllable at the center, at the heart center of Vajradhara, at our heart center, the Hung syllable rises up from the bottom to the nada at the top and dissolves into emptiness. We recite page 32. The objects of refuge dissolve into the main figure, and he dissolves into your crown. In Tibet, Gyabyor Kornam So Wo Dang, Deyang Wu Du Sune Rang La Tampa Gyor. So now we will do a 20-minute meditation. If you need to move about, it's fine. Keep your back straight as much as possible. Stay relaxed. Visualize the dissolution. Visualize the hung syllable at your heart. Sharp Q at the bottom dissolves into the ha syllable. The ha syllable dissolves into the roof of the ha. The roof of the ha dissolves into the crescent moon. The crescent moon dissolves into the bindu, the sun syllable. The sun dissolves into the nada, the flame at the very top. Maintain the visualization of the flame. Flame fades and becomes invisible to us, dissolving into the shunyata. We maintain the meditation. Your mind wanders, bring it back to the dissolution of the hung syllable. Take a deep breath and hold it. Exhale and hold it. Take a deep breath and hold it. Raise your arms up over your head. Bring your hands together. Look up between your hands at the ceiling and stretch your arms, stretch your back, stretch your neck. Exhale, release your arms, let them come back down to your meditation position. Exhale and breathe normal. Right. Go to page 41 in your book. I'll just recite this one short dedication prayer. Page 41. By the virtues collected in the three times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. In Tibet, Dakdang Korde Tam Shegi, Du Som Du Sag Padang, Yo Pe Gewe Sawadi, Dak Den Sem Chen Tam She, Nor Du La Na Me Pa, Yang Dak Pa Zog Pe, Zhang Shu Brin Po She To Par Jor Chi. We'll take a 20-minute break, come back and continue. I'll give a little explanation of the hung syllable, and we will do more prostrations, and then we'll continue with another meditation. See you in 20 minutes, so that would be 10 minutes to the hour. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. So please go to page 28 of our Ngöndro book, 28 and 29, and we recite the refuge prayer just one time, and the prayer on page 28 and 29. Buddhas, Dharma, Sanghas, Yidams, and Dharma protectors, to these supreme objects of refuge, for protection from the hordes of sufferings of samsara, we all migrators go for refuge until enlightenment is attained. I rejoice when all sentient beings are happy and free from the samsaric suffering and swiftly attain ultimate Buddhahood. For this purpose, from now on until I achieve enlightenment, I will follow the path to the ultimate goal. So we reestablish our motivation and bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings by reciting these prayers. So now, if you have your copy of the prayer book, the daily prayer book that I sent to you, and go to the very last page, and you see these three syllables. Okay, good. Okay, so the first syllable, of course, is a white The second syllable is a red ah, and the blue syllable is the blue hung. So when we are doing om, ah, hung, we're visualizing these three syllables. This is the mind of the Buddha. This is the speech of the Buddha. And this is the body of the Buddha. Excuse me, got it wrong. This is the body of the Buddha. This is the speech of the Buddha, and this is the mind of the Buddha. So body, speech, mind. Om, ah, hung. the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So the Dharma would be the speech of the Buddha, and the Sangha would be the body of the Buddha, and the mind of the Buddha would be the Hung syllable. So now, look at the previous page, page 39 in that same book, and you see the alphabet, the Tibetan alphabet. Okay, so now we're going to flip back and forth between page 40 and page 39. So looking at the blue hung, because with this, with many of the practices that we do, the different deity yoga practices that we do, it is the hung that is at the heart, is the seed syllable at the heart of many of these deities that we do practices for. And in particular, this one with Vajradhara, where we're visualizing the Buddha Vajradhara, at the heart is the hung syllable. So that is at our heart. So that dissolution that we talked about is at the bottom. If you see that little curlicue at the very bottom, and if you turn to page 39, you see that that is a vowel. If you look at the vowels in this little box at the bottom of the page, and you see that there are 4 vowels here. And so if you look at the second one down, it's called a shabkyu. And its position is below the syllable, and it has a oo sound. So a oo sound. So this is the hung. Is the H-U-N-G, is the hung, the shabkyu, comes from that. So then above that is a ha syllable, an ah syllable. If you look at the up here, you see that in this section right here, it is excuse me 1 minute. There it is. It's in the, you can see this box right here. You see it says a ah, an a, an ah. So it's a soft ah. It's a soft ah, is that syllable. So that is this next syllable here. Then the one above it is the ha syllable. And it's got a roof on it. You see the flat roof? And then it's got the ha. So if you turn the page again and go back to page 39, you'll see that at the very bottom here, it says the ha. So that's the ha syllable. So the ha, then that little ah at the bottom gives an accent to it, gives a ha. Then the q, the shabkyu at the bottom makes a hyung sound, hyung, hu, gives it a hu sound. So then above the roof of the ha is, you see a crescent moon. And the crescent moon represents compassion. And then the syllable above that, or the image above that, is a bindu, is a circle or a sphere. And that circle is the sun disk, which represents wisdom. So the moon disk, the crescent moon, is compassion. Then the sun disk is wisdom. So you see, they always go together. Then above the bindu is a little nada, is a little flame, a little flickering flame. So as we visualize the dissolution of the hung syllable, we're visualizing the shabkyu at the bottom dissolves into the ha syllable. So the ha syllable would be both that ha and that little ah syllable all one syllable, dissolves into that, and then that dissolves into the roof of the ha. Then the roof of the ha then dissolves into the crescent moon. Then the crescent moon dissolves into the bindu, to the sun disk, and the sun disk then dissolves into the nada, into the that little flame, and we maintain our visualization of that flame until it becomes invisible. It dissolves into the emptiness. So this is the mind training for the dissolution of the seed syllable at the conclusion of the completion stage of the different practices that we do. Are there any questions, comments about that? Is that helpful?
Yeah, definitely. What, why in Vajrayana Buddhism particularly is there such emphasis on like the syllables? Yeah, I guess on like the Sanskrit. So this syllable, it's not Sanskrit, it's Tibetan. I know they're very closely related, but the
It's
Ummah,
Sanskrit. It's
it,
actually Sanskrit
okay, it's Sanskrit, yeah.
that
Yeah.
has been adopted, of course, in the Indian Buddhism. They pronounce it hum, Hum. In the
Mm,
Tibetan Buddhism, they pronounce it Hung, hung.
right, yeah.
But it's these three syllables are Sanskrit.
Is
The
the
hung.
I think this is the like the Tibetan transliteration of the Sanskrit sound,
Mm,
if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
But
that
these,
sounds. I'm not a linguist by any means, so that sounds
yeah,
logical.
yeah,
The, I think Kempo told the story. The Tibetan alphabet is based on Sanskrit. A king, I can't remember which king, decided that everybody should be able to write Tibetan and sent 3 guys down to India. One of them came back to get an alphabet. And so that's how Sanskrit got Tibetanized.
Yeah, and also in India, the Hindi language, and in Nepal, the Nepali language. They're all based on the Sanskrit, and they're all variations of the same appearances of those syllables and so on, but a little different.
But why, I don't know if you've, I'm sure there's like a much longer, deeper answer than we might have time for now, but why in Tantric Buddhism or in Vajrayana Buddhism is there such emphasis on syllables and sounds? They even call it the Mantrayana sometimes. Like what, even just like theoretically speaking, like why is it such an emphasis on that? That's never been quite clear to me.
To develop mindfulness. It's a conceptual, ritualized practice that helps us to develop mindfulness, one-pointed mindfulness. It's part of the progress of the stages of meditation. It starts off very broad. The meditation starts off with the prayers, the motivation. Then it comes to the 4 thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma. Then it comes to bodhicitta and so on. So it's getting finer and finer a point. And then it comes to the seed syllable at the heart of the deities, which is in our heart. It's all in our heart center. So it's a means of being able to focus the mind, to help us to focus the mind. They're tools to help us focus the mind. It's a very simple answer, isn't it?
Yeah, and it makes sense. It just seems like there's a particular significance. There's such an emphasis in the Vajrayana on syllables, and I don't know about all like the completion stage practices and the subtleties of that. I don't know if I practice them, but where like even in the channels and everything, it seems like they're visualizing syllables. It seems like it all, not all, but so much of it comes back to or is incorporated into it, at least with like the syllables and the sounds.
Right. So there's a sound component to it, there's a visual component to it, but then there's that spiritual component to it that is beyond the concept. And that's what we're trying to get to. But we use the concept to get to that point that then becomes like a blast off, or becomes the black hole, or however you wish to describe it, becomes that gateway into the shunyata, into the emptiness. And then in the emptiness there is this realization of all this as being just a display of the dharmakaya, of the truth body, which is indescribable. But yet we're talking about the path to get to that indescribable point. Okay. So that should help when we do these different, and then each of the different seed syllables for the different deities may have different seed syllables. The Hung is shared by many, many of the Buddhas. Medicine Buddha, for instance, Vajradhara, Chakrasamvara, many, many, many of the deities share the Hung syllable. But then like Amitabha and Shenrezig, they share the Shri syllable. So we would visualize in that case the Shri syllable. I don't have one here to show you right away, but the Shri syllable, and then at the top of the Shri syllable would be that nada. So the nada appears, so in each one of these would have the nada because you visualize the dissolution of that seed syllable, and then it comes to the nada, then the nada becomes invisible, and that's the tool that we're using to get to the emptiness. So whether it's the Shri or it's the there's all these different syllables that you can use, the Byung, the Jum, there's many different seed syllables. Okay, any other thoughts or questions? All right, good. All right, well then we go back to the mantra on page 30 and 31. And we will recite the mantra in English 3 times. And, this is an arbitrary, thing to do. I'm saying do it 3 times in English, then 3 times in Tibetan, in order to reestablish our stream of consciousness. You could do it a whole mile around if you want. You could do it 7 times if you want. You could do it 1 time. Whatever it takes for you to stabilize your stream of consciousness again is what I'm trying to say to you. So when you do this practice on your own, whatever it takes for you to establish that, that's what you should do after taking a break like this. So you're coming back to this. So we'll recite it 3 times in English, then we'll recite it 3 times in the Tibetan, and then we'll do another set of the prostrations. So I'm doing 21. So, if you can do more, that's wonderful. We'll continue to recite the mantra to help support your prostration accumulation as we do this. Okay, so we begin with the English. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Drensan sawa dangur parje pe pal dan lama dampa nam la kapsu chio. Yedam kil gorgi la sok nam la kapsu chio. Sangye chom dende nam la kapsu chio. Dampe cho nam la kapsu chio. Pape ge du nam la kapsu chio. Pawo ka jo cho kyung song me song yeshe gi chang dang dem pa nam la kapsu chio. Dren san sa wa danger pa je pe pal dan la ma dam pa nam la kapsu chio. Yedam kil gorgi la sok nam la kapsu chio. Sangye chom dende nam la kapsu chio. Dampe cho nam la kapsu chio. Pape ge du nam la kapsu chio. Pawo ka jo cho kyung song me song yeshe gi chang dang dem pa nam la kapsu chio. Yedam kil gorgi la sok nam, Dren san sa wa danger pa je pe pal dan la ma dam pa nam la kapsu chio. Yedam kil gorgi la sok nam la kapsu chio. Sangye chom dende nam la kapsu chio. Dampe cho nam la kapsu chio. Pape ge du nam la kapsu chio. Pawo ka jo cho kyung song me song yeshe gi chang dang dem pa nam la kapsu chio. Now the prostrations while we recite. Transcend sawa danger parje pe pal dan lama dampa nam la kapsu chio. Yedam kil gorgi la sok nam la kapsu chio. Sangye chom dende nam la kapsu chio. Dampe cho nam la kapsu chio. Pape ge du nam la kapsu chio. Pawo ka jo cho kyung song me song yeshe gi chang dang dem pa nam la kapsu chio. Transcend sawa danger parje pe pa dan lama dam pa nam la kapsu chio. Yedam kil gorgi la sok nam la kapsu chio. Sangye chom dende nam la kapsu chio. Dampe cho nam la kapsu chio. Pape ge du nam la kapsu chio. Pawo wo ka jo shuk yung song mei song yes gi chang dang dem pa nam la kap su chi yo. Trin san sa wa danger pa je pe pa den lama nam pa nam la kap su chi yo. Yedam kyo gorgi la shok nam la kap su chi yo. Sangye chon den de nam la kap su chi yo. Dampe cho nam la kap su chi yo. Pape ge du nam la kap su chi yo. Pa wo ka jo kyo kyong sung me. Sung yes se gi cheng dang dem pa. Nam la kap su chi yo. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities and the mandalas of the Adams. We take refuge in all these older Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dhakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities and the mandalas of the Adams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dhakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities and the mandalas of the Adams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dhakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities and the mandalas of the Adams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dhakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities and the mandalas of the Adams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dhakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Trinsen sa wa danger pa je pe, pao den lama dam pa nam la kap su chi yo. Yedam kyo gorgi la sok nam la kap su chi yo. Sangye chon den de nam la kap su chi yo. Yedam kyo gorgi la sok nam la kap su chi yo. Dampe cho nam la kap su chi yo. Pape ge du nam la kap su chi yo. Pa wo ka jo jo kyong song mei. Song yeshe gi cheng dang dem pa nam la kap su chi yo. Okay, you can return to your seats. Collect your breath. So following the instructions on the bottom of page 31, it says, note, recite the refuge prayer as many times as possible while we do the prostrations, and meditate that the refuge visualization dissolves into oneself and oneself dissolves into emptiness. And we rest in the natural state. So our natural state is this meditation state. Through being a human being and all the different temptations that we have chosen to complicate our lives and give ourselves many, 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 many endless things to think about, rather than the natural state of just peacefulness, of meditation. That's our natural state. So what we're trying to do is to train ourselves to be able to return and stabilize that natural state. Even when we are doing mundane chores and things that we need to do, that meditation still is with us. And at any moment, we can go right back to that perfect, quiet meditation. So then on page 32, we recite this dissolution prayer. The objects of refuge dissolve into the main figure, and he dissolves into your crown. So this is Vajradhara. Along with that is the hung syllable at his heart. He dissolves into your crown, coming down through the center channel to your heart center. So now Vajradhara is in your heart center. You're visualizing that. And at his heart is the hung syllable. Now at your heart center is the hung syllable. And then that is what is dissolving from the bottom up. So then we recite in the Tibet, it says, Kabyor Kornam So Wodang Dayang Wudu Serne Rang La Tempa Gyor. So now we will do a meditation. We'll do a 10-minute meditation. This is a dissolution meditation. So we're visualizing the hung syllable. We're visualizing the lineage tree, all the deities, all the beings, all the masters, all dissolving into light, dissolving into Vajradhara. Vajradhara dissolves into light, dissolves into the crown of into our heart center, and then the hung syllable rising, dissolving as it goes into the emptiness. If your mind wanders, just bring it back to the visualizations. Take a deep breath. Maintain your mindfulness. Exhale. Hold the breath. Maintain your mindfulness. Inhale. Raise your arms up over your head. Bring your hands together. Look up through your hands at the ceiling and maintain your mindfulness as you stretch. Exhale. Release your arms. Maintain your mindfulness. Hold the breath. Breathe normal, open your eyes, and maintain your mindfulness of the meditation. Take the meditation with you. Remain calm, peaceful. And now we visualize the protection circle, and we recite the Sanskrit alphabet mantra. Oma, I, O, Rivi, Lele, O, Ang, Kaka, Gagana, Zaza, Zazana, Tada, Dadana, Tada, Dadana, Baba, Babama, Yavalawa, Sa, Ka, Saha, Kriya, Soha. Oma, I, O, Rivi, Lele, O, Ang, Kaka, Gagana, Zaza, Zazana, Tada dadana, tada dadana, baba babama, yabalawa, sa saha, kriya, soha. Om, I, O, Rivi, Lili, O, Ang, Kaka, Gagana, Zaza, Zazana, Tada dadana, tada dadana, baba babama, yabalawa, sa saha, kriya, soha. Om Yadharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Takan Tadagato Heawa Tatata Takasa Yonarada Evamwadi Majumani Soha. Om Yadharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Takan Tadagato Heawa Tatata Takasa Yonarada Evamwadi Majumani Soha. Om Yadharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Takan Tadagato Heawa Tatata Takansa Yonarada Evamwadi Mahashimani Soha. Om Bajra Sattva Samaya Manu Palaya Bajra Sattva Tenopa Dristadredo Mebawa Suto Kayo Mebawa Supo Kayo Mebawa Anuraktu Mebawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsa Me Sitsan Triyakuru Hung Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sara Tada Gata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Baba Maha Samaya Satwaha Om Bajra Sattva Samaya Manu Palaya Bajra Sattva Tenopa Justa Jedo Mebawa Suto Kayo Mebawa Supo Kayo Mebawa Anuraktu Mebawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsa Me Sitsan Triyakuru Hung Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Baba Maha Samaya Satwaha Om Bajra Satwa Samaya Manu Palaya Bajra Satwa Tenopa Justa Jedo Mebawa Suto Kayo Mebawa Supo Kayo Mebawa Anuraktu Mebawa Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsa Me Sitsan Triyakuru Hung Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sara Tada Gata Bajra Mame Mansa Bajri Baba Maha Samaya Satwaha Teata Pensadriva Avo Bodhanaya Soha Teata Pensadriva Avo Bodhanaya Soha Teata Penshajiva Avo Bodhanaya Soha, 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 Teata Penshajiva Avo Bodhanaya Soha. This is it. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the five families and the three times, who have destroyed all defilements, lead to equipoise of the enlightened mind. Om Ru Ru Da Ru Muki Muki Soha. 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 The enlightened body, speech, and mind of the peaceful and wrathful deities is the Buddha. Om Dai Dai Bendai Soha. 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 The bliss and strength in the heart center of the Buddha is equipoise. The body, speech, and mind of the Buddha is the cause of enlightenment of all sentient beings. Om Hanu Bashabara Ridaya Soha. 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 The bliss and strength in the heart center of the Buddha is equipoise. Om Ah Hong. 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 Now the italics at the bottom of page 36. It says, visualize with faith. The root Lama is present in the sky in front, surrounded by assemblies of Yidam deities and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So take a moment with that visualization. All space, all that we call time, all that we call location, places, the universe is filled with the root Lama and surrounded by the assemblies of Yidam deities and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Okay. So any comments, any questions about the practice? Okay. I hope it's getting easier for you and more meaningful for you with each time. So the accumulation are the prostrations. That we accumulate 100,000 perfect prostrations. In order to do that, in the Drikung Kagyu lineage, we accumulate 111,111 prostrations. So it's 111, comma, 111. So this way, the 11,111 assure that the 10,000, that the 100,000 will be done perfectly. In other words, we may mess up on those 11,000, but the remaining ones will be done correctly. So the most difficult part of these are doing them in the beginning. The first 10,000 are the most difficult. After that, you establish a routine and it flows very naturally for you, and you begin to experience results. You know, it becomes less mechanical and it becomes more of a spiritual practice where the body just gives way and the heart opens up, joining the lineage tree, becoming the lineage tree. So at this stage in our lives, it may not be possible for us to be able to do the whole Ngöndro practice, this refuge practice. But on the other hand, if it is, then it's the greatest thing that you can do. If you need to take breaks from it, it's fine. You know, we're not going into a 3-year retreat. We're not monastics. We don't have that type of lifestyle, luxury, whatever you want to call it. So we adapt and we do what we can. If we needed to take a break, we come back to it, we reestablish. And I found that, you know, maybe it's a rationalization on my part, but I find that when I would take breaks and then come back to it, there was a freshness to it and being able to understand the meaning of it much easier. Things that I maybe have forgotten or taken for granted or something that I have to re-motivate. I have to understand them again and so on. So it became a greater power for me was the way I experienced it. And I took many breaks. It took me many years to do the prostration part. It took me 12 years to do the whole Ngöndro part. But as I say, it was a great thing to do, and whatever age you are, whatever physical capability you have, you know, and, engaging in this is really terrific because as it says in the text, that this is the essence of all the other practices. In the monastic way of life, that you wouldn't even be fully introduced, you wouldn't even be empowered to do the other practices, the deity yoga practices, until after you've completed the Ngöndro practices. That's how important they are because they are the foundation of all the other practices. Without the foundation, you can do those practices, but when you meet challenges, when difficulty arises, you're not going to have the stability of having accomplished, having accumulated the Ngöndro practice. So this is why it's so important. If in our life, because we're at the stage of our lives where we know we're not going to be able to complete this and so on, you do what you can, as often as you can. And what you're establishing is a connection with the future. And the future is here now. Remember, all time, you know, it's all here now. The past is here now, the present is here now, the future is here now. So it's not a waste of time by any means. Okay, so now we do our lineage dedications on page 37 and on. So if you follow with me in the book, please. Dorje Chang, Talopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dormalor Gampopa, Pagmajupa, and Lord Drikung. Please bestow upon us the most auspicious blessing of all the Kagyu Lamas. By this virtue may I achieve the all-knowing state, and may all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating all enemies, confusion, the cause of suffering. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it not decline. Excuse me, I'm going to repeat that. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. As Manjushri and likewise Samantabhadra realize the ultimate state, Buddhahood, I will follow in their path and share the merit for all sentient beings. By the blessing of the Buddha who attained the three kayas, by the blessing of the truth of the unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessing of the indivisible Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit. By the virtues collected in the three times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate word of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Drikung Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious kind root and lineage lamas, divine assembly of yidams and assemblies of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Yogins, Yoginis, and Dakinis, dwelling in the 10 directions, please hear my prayer. May the virtues collected in the three times, by myself and all sentient beings in samsara and nirvana, and the innate word of virtue, not result in the 8 worldly concerns, the 4 causes of samsara, or rebirth as a Shravaka or Pratyeka Buddha. May all mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me and mine, obstructors who harm, misleading Mars, and the hordes of demons, experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May attachment to fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and through that may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. May the torment of suffering not arise even at the time of my death. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind as such and the pervading clarity of Dharmata. May I in any case gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo. Om, Ah, Hum. Om, Ah, Hum. Om, Ah, Hum. May my body, speech, and mind become inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened ones for the benefit of all sentient beings. Thank you very much. You guys have been here for most every one of the sessions that we've had. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. For you, I appreciate it most of all. It's wonderful that you made the commitment to do this. Next week, we will continue with the Vajrasattva purification part. So we'll give explanations, and that might take a couple of sessions to go through all the detail of that. And then we'll put it all together and we'll see how we do the practice at that point. We practice the refuge part, we do a short refuge part, then we move on to the purification part. So we'll start that next week. So thank you.
Thank you, Lance.
Thank you, Lance.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everyone.
You're welcome.